right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Humbert here, and today we're going to be doing Unit 1, Note 7. So we're going to go over our final form of lines, which is going to be in standard form. So standard form, sometimes people get confused with slope-intercept form because slope-intercept form is, well, standard. We use it a lot. But standard form is actually its own thing. So when we do things in standard form, the form we use is ax plus by is equal to c. So in that, a, b, and c are all constants. So there's no slope or y-intercept in this form. It's kind of a form we use a lot to model situations. So we use these a lot for word problems. So most typically we turn standard form into slope-intercept form so that we can graph equations. So we might have a word problem, then we'll use standard form to write out the word problem, and then we'll solve it for our y so we can get it into slope-intercept form. So let's just take a look at getting things into standard form. So for something to be in standard form, the x and the y's need to be by themselves, and the constant, or the thing that's just a number, needs to be on the other side. So here I have a plus 4. So in order to get that over to the other side, I need to subtract 4 from both sides. And that definitely looks like a y, but it's a 4. So then I get 3x minus 2y is equal to 9 minus 4, which is just simply 5. So that's my final answer for number 1. So really just getting those x and y's by themselves. So here I need to get rid of that minus 7. So in order for me to get rid of that minus 7, I need to do the opposite, which is going to be adding 7 to both sides. Okay, so then I'm going to have negative 6x minus 5y is equal to 8 plus 7. And 8 plus 7 is going to give me 15. So again, once that constant's over on the other side, my answer is in standard form. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at this one. And now, in order for us to get it in standard form, we need to get that 2x over to the other side. So I notice here that it is a minus 2x. So in order for the minus 2x to go over to the other side, I need to add 2x. Okay, so then 2x plus 3y on this side. Now, you cannot add the 2x and the 3y together because they have different letters. And then on this side, we're just going to have the 4 since we canceled out those there. So this, right here is my final answer for number 3. Now, let's take a look at number 4. So for number 4, I notice that I need to get my 4y on the other side. So I'm going to start, since it's a positive 4y, the only way I can get it over to the other side is to subtract 4y. So I can get negative 2x minus 4y, and that's going to give me a positive 6. Okay, so now that letters are on one side and the thing that's just a number is on the other, I'm done. So that's really all there is to it, and that's primarily what we're going to be doing with it today. But let's practice with a couple of word problems. So when we do word problems for standard form, we're going to have two variables. We need to have an x and a y. So there's going to be two things that we don't know that we're going to have to find. So taking a look at number 5, you have $10 to buy carrots and tomatoes for a salad. So I'm going to let x represent carrots and y represent tomatoes. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at that. So we have $10 total. So we're just going to assume that we're paying that $10. Okay. Then, for every x carrot I buy, it's going to cost me $1.25. Then, for every y tomato, it's going to cost me $2. So notice I connected carrots with the carrot cost and tomatoes with the tomato cost, and I multiplied them with each of their variable. So that is your final answer for number 5. This is all the setting up you have to do on those word problems. And remember, the word problems on here are very similar to the word problems on your quiz. Or on your quiz, well that too, and your practice sheet. So you're moving into a new house. You can carry 56 pounds at a time. So that's the most you can carry at one time. So then, one box of books weighs 18 pounds. So I'm going to let X represent the boxes of books. And a box of clothing weighs 10 pounds. So I'm going to let Y represent the box of clothing. So for every X box of books we carry, it's going to weigh 18 pounds. Then, for every Y box of clothing, it's going to weigh 10 pounds. So that right there is our final setup. That's your answer for number 6. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 7. Again, remember, if I'm going too fast, feel free to pause that video for whatever you need. So you are in charge of buying hamburger and chicken for a party. So my guess is that that's going to be my variables, but let's see. So we have $60 to spend. Again, for today, we're just assuming we're going to spend exactly $60. So the hamburger costs $2 per pound, so I'm going to have hamburger be X. And then the chicken costs $3 per pound, so I'm going to have chicken be Y. Write an equation that represents the different amounts of hamburger X and chicken Y that you can buy. Okay, so for every X pound of hamburger I buy, it's going to cost me $2. Okay? For every Y pound of chicken, it's going to cost me $3. Okay? So that right there is your setup for that equation. Not too bad. Okay, so let's take a look at number 8. It says you are buying $48 worth of lawn and seed that contain 2 types of seed. One is a quick-growing ryegrass. So I'm going to have the quick-growing ryegrass. That is really hard to say. And that's going to cost 4 pounds. And the other type is a higher quality seed. I'm going to have that be Y. That costs $6 per pound. Write an equation that represents the different amounts of $4 seed X and $6 seed Y. So this time it actually gave us the variable, which is nice. So again, we're going to assume that we're going to spend exactly $48. Okay, so for every X pound of quick-growing ryegrass, that's going to cost us $4. I dare you to try and say that 10 times fast. Then the other is a higher quality seed, Y, which is going to cost us $6. So again, here's our setup right there. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at number 9. So it asks us to write it in standard form for the line passing through the 2 points given. So first things first, when something is in standard form, when you're giving 2 points, what we need to do first when you're given 2 points is we actually need to make sure that we use point slope form. So that's what we have to start with, is point slope form. Well, in order to do that, whenever you have 2 points, a good starting point is just, I just said point a lot in one sentence. Wow. So a good starting point when you have 2 points is the slope. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so I have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 7 minus 4 is going to give me 3. And 5 minus, that should be 2. On number 9, let's make this a 2. That's a typo it should be 2 on your sheets as a typo on here. And 5 minus 2 is going to give me 3. So then what I have here is 3 over 3, which is 1. So now I'm going to put that into point slope form. So let's use the 0.24. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my puzzle. So here I'm going to put my slope, which I got to be 1, opposite of my y-coordinate, which is minus 4, opposite of my x-coordinate, which is minus 2. So we're going to distribute in that 1, which really doesn't do much for us because distributing 1 is going to leave us with the same thing. So first thing I'm going to do is get that x over to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract x from both sides. Typically, when you're writing things out in standard form, you should have x first and then y. I won't take off points if you do put the y first, but in general, that's what we usually do, okay? Next, let's go ahead, and now we need to get that 4 over to the other side, so I'm going to go ahead and add 4. Finally, we're going to have negative x plus y is equal to negative 2 plus 4, which is 2. So that right there is your final answer for number 9. Now let's take a look at number 10. Again, we're going to calculate out the slope on number 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now when you subtract a negative, it's going to become plus a positive. So negative 5 minus 3, that's going to get more negative. So I'm going to end up with negative 8. 0 plus 4 is going to give me 4. Negative 8 divided by 4 is going to give me a negative 2. So now we're going to set up our puzzle. So let's just use the second point. So I'm going to go like this. So that first blank is opposite of my x-coordinate. So I'm going to use that second point. Since it's a minus 5, I'm going to go ahead and add 5. Then I'm going to put my slope of negative 2 here, and then I'm going to have minus 0 here. So first thing I'm going to do is distribute in that negative 2. So I get y plus 5 is equal to negative 2x, and then negative 2 times 0 is just 0. So I'm going to leave that as is. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract the minus 5 over to the other side. If you wanted to do the 2x first, you could. It doesn't matter what order you decide to change things on the sides when you're doing this standard form piece, okay? Now I need to get that 2x over to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and add 2x to both sides. So then I'm going to end up getting 2x plus that y is equal to that negative 5. So that right there is your final answer for number 10. Now, let's take a look at number 11. So when we're looking at number 11, what we want to do is first calculate out the slope. So I'm going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So then 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Oops. And then 2 minus 1 is going to give me 1. So negative 2 divided by 1 is negative 2. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we're going to calculate out point slope. So then I'm going to put negative 2 in here. So let's try that again, less sloppily. So negative 2 is going to go in that slope spot. For some reason, this thing does not want to write the number 2. So let's pick a point. Let's use this one. So we're going to do y minus 3 here, y minus 1 there, because remember, you're doing the opposite. So let's distribute. So then we get y minus 3 is equal to a negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 1. When you multiply a negative times a negative, you're going to get a positive. So that's going to become plus 2. So I'm going to start by adding this 3 over to the other side. So then I get y minus 3 is equal to, oops, not minus 3. I already got rid of that. Silly Miss Humbert. So I get y is equal to negative 2x plus 5. I just want to take a second and point out that that's slope-intercept form. But now I want standard form, so I'm going to go ahead and add 2x over to the other side. So then I get 2x plus y is equal to 5. So that right there is my final answer for number 11. Last but not least, let's do number 12. Okay, so on number 12, we're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 4 minus 1 is going to give me 3. 6 minus 2 is going to give me 4. So here I ended up with a fraction, and that's okay. We can work with that. So my point slope form, I'm going to go ahead and get that set up. So my slope goes here, so that's going to be 3 over 4. And then, opposite of my y-coordinate, let's use this one right here. So this is going to become minus 1. And this one, I'm going to do minus 2. So now I need to distribute that 3/4 in. So then I get y minus 1 is equal to negative 3, or 3/4 times x is just going to be 3/4 x. Okay? Then we have 3/4 times a negative 2. So let's just take a look at what that would look like as a fraction. So when we take 3/4 times a negative 2, the negative 2 is going to be multiplied by the 3. So on top I'm going to get negative 6 over 4. Now I need to simplify that down. So since both of those are reduced, it's going to become negative 3 over 2. That's easier to see. Maybe I should stick with that. So now I'm going to have negative 3 over 2. So now I need to add 1 to both sides. Now, I just want to point out that 1 can also be written as 2 over 2. Okay? So when we're taking negative 3/2, we're going to actually add it to 2 over 2. So I have negative 3/2 plus 2 over 2. Well, that's going to give me a negative 1/2. Okay? I just want to do that separate to kind of show you guys that fraction piece. So then I get y is equal to 3/4 x minus 1/2. Last but not least, I need to get that 3/4 x over to the other side. So I'm going to subtract it. Okay, so then our final answer, I'm just going to write it over here. We're going to get a negative 3/4 x plus 1y is equal to a negative 1/2. So that's your final answer for number 12, and that concludes your note video for today. Thanks for listening.